Really quick before we start, I need to correct something I stated yesterday. I assumed that the person who came back from beyond the barrier was Robin just because of the stage reference.
Someone who survived the treacherous depths, but is unable to take the stage and speak the truth.
The Charmony Festival stage belongs only to you, little sister.
Who was then taken away by the mastermind to prevent her from speaking the truth. But then, a lot of you guys started pointing out that it's more probable Firefly was the person who came back from beyond the barrier, and Robin is still currently stuck in the depths of hell. This would line up with the person unable to speak the truth being Firefly, who stated to the Trailblazer she tried to reveal the truth to them but failed 11 times, hence why she revealed herself. This theory just sounds way better than what I said yesterday. You know, it's funny, that really good timing on the video I made like three days ago where I was like, oh yeah, I have no problem being wrong because your boy was wrong. But I wanted to make a note of that. But, you know, there's just something about Star Rail and Unhinged 4 stars that's just... But here's the thing. In both instances, the truth is not as apparent as it seems. Tingyun's body was snatched by Phantilia, an emanator of destruction. And in Gallagher's case, what's happening is even more enigmatic than hers, seeing as Gallagher isn't a real person, but rather an amalgamation of 52 different family members who all happen to be suspects for the serial killer. He appears to be inexorably linked with death, even referring to himself as 13, and according to Sunday, this thing calling itself Gallagher is a follower of Enigmata. The last scene of the story quest seemingly ended in Gallagher snuffing the light out from under Sunday while telling him the reason he seemingly killed Robin was because the whole thing is just fate playing a cruel joke on us. And when I say he snuffed the light out from under Sunday, I mean it literally. Look at how the flame from the match is positioned. It's encompassed Sunday's entire body, and then when Gallagher closes the match, the meme kills Sunday. Also, happy Easter, guys, I just realized. The big reveal of this entire scene has now been hotfixed into the game, and it tells us that Gallagher is a follower of Enigmata, but doesn't reveal which of the factions he belongs to. But before we can actually explore which of the factions he belongs to, it's important we first understand what Enigmata is. Enigmata is the path corresponding with the Aeon Mythus. Mythus believes everything is unknowable. Their description states they are, quote, the Aeon that presides over the path of Enigmata. Their form remains unknown. They believe that things in themselves are beyond perception, and that entities with finiteness are incapable of envisioning the true infinity. So, everything remains enigmatic. Plainly put, they believe things are simply beyond the realm of perception, and exacerbating the issue is the limits on beings' lives, thus rendering all of reality an enigma. However, the most interesting thing about Mythus is that in the past, they've tampered with the border of the memory zone that eventually led to breaches. The loading screen for the memory zone writes, it's a, quote, realm created by Memoria, inaccessible to direct observation. Only path striders who follow the path of remembrance or individuals well versed in unconventional methods can navigate its boundaries. In the past, the Enigmata caused numerous breaches on the border between the real space and the memory zone. So, as to the question of how the meme got here, we might have an answer. Also, it's worth pointing out, Mythus was born in the Remembrance. Anyway, the path has two factions, the History Fictionologists and the Riddlers. History Fictionologists have got to be the funniest group in all the universe. Here's what they do. They just jump around from planet to planet, just making shit up. They are the embodiments of revisionist history, and it's so extreme that you just watch what the database entry states. Quotes, there is evidence that history fictionologists are a group of emanators that were enlightened by eons. They often plunge into the sea of stars alone, traveling planet to planet with the sole purpose of fabricating, obscuring, destroying, and erasing the local history. History fictionologists believe that the past determines the future. When a civilization's history is definite, its future development is doomed as all possibilities are eliminated, leaving only a sad and rigid path forward. In order to save these worlds from the sad fate of objectivity, history fictionologists consider Enigmata as their only creed and are determined to shroud the universe in mystery. History fictionologists carry out their mission of destroying history alone and decisively, with an altruism that is difficult to comprehend. Their views are poorly understood by most, and their blatant hatred of objective facts is somewhat extreme. Many worlds are beginning to realize the irreversible, intangible damage that these emanators of Enigmata have caused to culture. Across the cosmos, history fictionologists have a reputation comparable to that of the Antimatter Legion. The Intelligentsia Guild has publicly denounced them. The Antimatter Legion destroys matter, but the history fictionologists destroy the very universe itself. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, damn, emanators, huh? These guys, they sure sound like menaces. Menaces they are indeed. Threats to society, villains even. Here's the thing. We can't even trust this fucking data entry because someone from the history fictionologists edited I'm having a stroke. They altered the description in the databank. Bro, they're fun. It's just what the fuck. Anyway, the second faction under Enigmata are the Riddlers, who by comparison are much easier to understand. That sounds like it shouldn't be the case, but whatever. Quotes, where the history fictionologists are devoted to the mystification of history, that's an interesting way to put, never mind. The Riddlers are obsessed with destroying the certainty of language. Words used to express meaning are gradually obfuscated in the mouths of the Riddlers. They deconstruct texts, abuse metaphors, change word orders, tamper with semantics, and transform an otherwise precise language into something beyond recognition. With regards to which faction the thing calling itself Gallagher falls under, it's worth pointing out both these groups have been name dropped in Penacony thus far.
I can't be certain. It may be a masked fool's trap. From the execution itself, the Riddlers or Inquisition spirits could have done this themselves.
It was a monument to war for freedom. Hanunu fought alongside a motley crew of masked fools, nameless, history fictionologists, mourning actors, omen vanguards, even visitors from beyond the sky. In the end, they emerged victorious.
However, the problem in determining which of the factions he belongs to are as such. He has in essence completed both roles of the groups. Gallagher gave us a complete recounting of Penacony's history. However, everything he said could have been a complete lie. And while yes, the things he said seem to line up with everything we are witnessing right now, if there's any group who are experts at making a false past sound believable, it would be the history fictionologists. So, until we can verify his recounting of Penacony's history with anyone or anything else, it's tough to take what he says at face value. However, he's also displayed signs of belonging to the Riddlers, most notably when March asked Gallagher how old he was and he simply responded,
I'm 13.
The capitalization of the T in absence of any time span has led many to draw the conclusion that when Gallagher says he's 13, he's referring to the tarot card representing death. And can I just say, I am ashamed of myself for missing this. You might not know this, actually you definitely don't know this, but I myself have dabbled in the forbidden arts and 2 years ago had mine own divination read to me via tarot cards. The first nigga in history, by the way, first black man to do that. And mine even included death! The likely outcome, the dead. Y'all know what's crazy too? This was evidently the first time I read the word progenitor. Part 1, how you feel about yourself, the progenitor? Ooh, I don't even know what that means. That word, my god, how far we've come. Stand proud and say it is indeed the primordial one, a progenitor god, hailing from beyond the stars. Now, with regards to death in tarot cards, you might be shocked to learn that it actually doesn't represent physical death, so much as it symbolizes transformation, closing chapters in one's life, and the inevitability of change. Regardless, Gallagher using a double meaning here feels like the classic sign of a Riddler, so I am leaning towards him belonging here. Gallagher's Story 5, however, reveals some interesting things regarding his background that do confuse me a bit. He reminisces about the golden years when he yearned for freedom despite his captivity. Together, they fought against oppression, entrusting their lives to one another. They dreamed of a free land. They might die any moment, yet acted as if they already held countless wonderful tomorrows within their grasp. However, there were not enough of them to fight back. Familiar friends perished one by one, ideals crumbled, and atrocities prevailed. Is that something you lived through? You You must be kidding, right? The guest interrupts his gloomy soliloquy. Of course not. How could it possibly be true? He smiles and resumes his work. Gallagher is my most genuine lie. Sometimes I can't even distinguish between him and myself. Given this speaks of a war of captivity, I at first assumed it was the rebellion against the IPC that Hanu led, but if that's the case, then there's a discrepancy. Hanu and the rebels won their battle, whereas in Gallagher's story, they lost the battle. The most likely answer is that either the story is complete bullshit, or he's recounting the events of when he and the other children of Mikhail tried to clear the Watchmaker's name and fails, but that didn't really sound like it involved deaths in the way he told it to us. All this aside, the revelation that Gallagher was made up of what Sunday called 52 loyal family members is interesting, considering the traits from these 52 family members that Gallagher stole were all suspects for the serial killer in a letter sent to Sunday himself, with a final note stating he's reached a conclusion. Furthermore, Acheron also seemed to have picked up a bit on what was going on here by taking note of the characteristics. However, I'm curious, Gallagher can't be a human barring he's a big fan of Dr. Thomas Elliot, so what exactly is it? What has the ability to take whatever form it wants, has the power to control a monster heralding death that arrived here from a breach, and has the gall to tell a high-ranking member of the family that he has guts for calling him out, and furthermore, seems to display characteristics of two different factions under one path. What if it's something that cares not for meager ranks in the mortal affairs? What if it's something that can take whatever appearance it so chooses? And what if it's something that can simply submit the meme to its will on sheer power alone? What if it's an Eon? No, he's not an Eon. At least I think. Although that would be pretty interesting. But given Gallagher refers to what he's doing as his most genuine lie, and even says he has a self, makes me think there's not a chance in hell he's an Eon. It'd be dope, though. Ultimately, we know very little of Gallagher's motives, how he can control the meme, or why he's killed Robin and Sunday. The only similarities seem to be they've both been investigating something, and then winded up dead. Robin was attempting to figure out what was wrong with the Harmony and who the traitor was, and Sunday got too close to figuring out Gallagher. Yo, this motherfucker's just taking out all the opposition. Stalin tips his hat to you.